Hello, it's me, Daryl, Florida Catholic guy, just doing my daily walk with the boy here, and about 5 after 8. Still got a little sunlight. Sun sets around somewhere around quarter after, give or take a couple of minutes. He just had a pretty good thunderstorm move through. A lot of lightning, thunder, and we got a good rain out of it. We've been getting rain every day, which pretty usual for this time of year. We're in our summer pattern now. And what's good about it is, like before the rainstorm, temperatures were close to 90. And now after the rain, temperature, I checked a few minutes ago, was 75. Now it's still humid, you can still feel it, but it's a lot nicer than when it is 90 or near 90. Although I don't mind it, but I do like the cooler time, as long as it's not too cool, which obviously it isn't. Anyway, enough about the weather. I know when I do this, I watch and, well, can't help it, but the camera gets shaky when I'm walking. But that's why I like doing the backyard thing that I did the other day, is because I could use my iPad and set it up on the grill. The grill has a little table on it, and I can use that, and I don't have to worry about shaky camera. But anyway, big news around here, or around the country, probably a lot of the world, is the cop that shot George Floyd. And I'm sure everybody has seen the video multiple times by now. And there's nothing to say other than it's cold-blooded murder. And the officer has been charged and is in jail now, which, if you ask me, should have happened days ago. The prosecutor there, a liberal Democrat, but that is part of the story. As is Minneapolis, their mayor and their governor are all crazy Democrats. And anyway, the prosecutor said that this is the fastest that he's charged anybody with a crime. I just find that strange, because it was 3-4 days. I think it was 4 days, he said. And I can't imagine that if I went out to a random person, pinned them on the ground, and put my knee on their neck until they died, can't imagine it would take them 4 days to arrest me for that. Just saying. You know, obviously cops get special treatment. There's a video circulating on YouTube about, I want to say Arizona, not sure of the state, but a sheriff who was up on corruption charges the local police had a search warrant for his phone. So the local police went to serve the warrant, and the sheriff, he he refused to give the phone over, and he was just casually walking through the sheriff's office, and he looked at the warrant and said, well, this is served by a magistrate. This isn't a judge, so this is invalid. And which obviously isn't true. So then he gives his phone to one of his deputies that are there with him. So, because the warrant says that something about the phone being on his person or something. And so he figured he could pull a fast one and not give the phone over by doing that. Well, he tried to leave. He tried to walk out a side door, and that didn't work because the cops were waiting for him out in the side door. And so finally he ended up surrendering the phone, and he said, well, you can't get any information off that phone until you get a warrant for its contents. And the cop said, you're absolutely correct. And the police did get a warrant for the sheriff's phone, and they found out it wasn't the phone that he was supposed to be giving him. So now I don't know what's happened since then, or if he's going to get in more trouble than he's already in. But he should, because I know one thing. If a cop came to my house, said we had a warrant for your phone, and I says, well, wait a minute, that's signed by a magistrate, it's invalid. And then I handed the phone off to my mom and told her to hold on to it. And then I tried to leave the house. I'm quite sure I would probably end up like George Floyd. Maybe not quite as bad, but I know I'd be in cuffs on the way to jail. So, yeah, there is a double standard for cops and normal people like us. And not just cops, rich people in general. And I'm not saying cops are rich, because they certainly aren't. But, well, most of them anyway. They're certainly not wealthy for the salaries. Although some people, they do make pretty good money with overtime and special details and stuff that they get. But bear with me for a minute here. Gotta go pick up after my boy. But anyway, about the George Floyd situation, they charged the cop that killed him with third-degree murder and also manslaughter. I think the reason they do that is because it gives the prosecutors and the jury, for some reason, if they didn't want to convict him for the third-degree murder, they could at least get him on manslaughter to get some prison time. But I would argue, this is just me, excuse me, I would argue that this was first-degree murder. Now, I'm no lawyer, obviously, but my understanding is that the difference between like third and second degree murder and first degree murder is first degree murder. You have to, it's got to be a premeditated act. And from what I learned when I went to criminal justice courses, the premeditation doesn't have to be days and days. It can be just a minute before you do the act. That could be enough for premeditation. And I find it interesting that Mr. Floyd and this officer reportedly worked together at I think it was some sort of store or something, or no, it was like a nightclub or something. I guess they were both bouncers. So that makes me wonder if this officer had a personal beef with Mr. Floyd and decided this was his opportunity to take care of things. Obviously, this is just my speculation, but it does make you wonder. Unfortunately, the only one that can answer that question, well, I guess if he were to be honest, which is a big if, I guess the police officer could say, but the only other one that could confirm it is dead. And that's the sad part about this, is somebody that didn't need to die died. And you know, I watched the video and read the stories, and obviously probably everybody knows that police were called because he supposedly passed a $20 counterfeit bill. And I guess even the store where this happened, the guy that he gave the phony money to, he said that it wasn't, Mr. Floyd probably didn't even know it was counterfeit. So, and I know some people have been inexplicably trying to justify this officer's actions by saying that Mr. Floyd is a convicted felon and that he spent time in prison, which is all true. I mean, it's part of the record. First of all, how can you, I don't care if he's a convicted axe murderer. You don't just get to kill somebody on the street like that. He did his time, paid his debt to society. From all the reports I read, he was turning his life around and had made a good life for himself before the coronavirus happened, and unfortunately he was laid off. So I saw they had a video before his arrest where, or it was right after, I guess it was right after the arrest because he was in cuffs. Police were walking with him, and I mean, he was, you know, tightening up and pulling away a little bit, not, you know, like most people do. I mean, all cops will tell you that people act like tough guys like that when they get cuffed, but it was nothing that would even make somebody want to throw somebody to the ground, anyway, a sane person. You know, you just, you know, you keep control of them and put them in the back of a squad car. That's how you arrest somebody. You don't put the cuffs on them and then put them down on the ground and put your knee on his neck for 7 or 8 minutes. And so I think I could make a case for first-degree murder, but I don't know. I just hope he gets punished He needs to get life. That's what he deserves. I'd say the death penalty, but I don't think that's going to happen. That only happens with first-degree murder, and like I said, he's not being charged with that. And being that Minnesota is a Democrat state, I don't think they probably even have the death penalty. I mean, Minnesota is so liberal that they're the only state that voted against Reagan in, I believe it was 88. So that shows you how kook they are. And that brings me to another point. I know a lot of these left-wing nuts like to somehow blame Trump for all of this. I don't know, because Orange Man bad, I guess. But we all remember Amy Klobuchar. She was running for president. She was also an attorney general in Minnesota, or at least in Minneapolis. I don't know if it was a state or a city job. Probably a state, I would say. And she had investigated at least one, if not more, complaints involving the same cop. And she decided to do nothing with the complaints. Just tossed them. Which, really, if you know about police and courts and prosecutors, this really isn't strange at all. In fact, I dare say it's common practice. You go try filing a complaint against a police officer, and I'd say 99 out of 100 times, unless you get a lawyer and sue, the complaint ends up in the circular file. The only way to avoid that is to record all interactions with police. And that's one thing, that recording police officers in public is absolutely 100% legal under the Constitution of the United States. And a lot of cops don't like it. And they'll try to threaten and intimidate you into turning off cameras, and they'll do stuff like they'll walk in, at night they'll shine their bright lights on their cruisers at you, at the camera, so you don't see them. You can see what happened on the video with Mr. Floyd, that one bald officer, he was trying to get in front of the camera so you couldn't record him. Come on. So, that's the tactics they use to try to block people from recording them. And not saying all cops do that, but a lot of them do. And I hate to admit to this, because I've always been, up until the last probably 6 months to a year or so, and I've ticked a lot of my friends off, or some of them anyway, I've always been pro-law enforcement, pro-police officer. And I've always wanted to believe that 99% of them are good. But I don't know if I can believe that anymore. I mean, you go on YouTube and look up police brutality, and it's everywhere. I mean, it's not an incident here or there. And The only reason why it's being exposed is because people are recording things now, which is good. But the thing is there's not really a meme, but a post on Facebook said, if you got 4 bad cops and 100, or might have even been 1,000 good cops, and the 1,000 good cops don't turn in and arrest the 4 bad cops, then you got 1,004 bad cops. And it's so true, because when stuff like this happens, the thin blue line protects their own. And, I get it. Their job and everything, and their brothers and whatever, but that doesn't wash anymore. Should have never washed in the first place. If you break the law, if you violate somebody's rights, you shouldn't just sit there and watch and cover it up, because that makes you just as bad as the ones who did it. So, obviously, we need the police. Although there's some people that are now saying they want to abolish the police. Even, get this, even one of the Parkland kids, Delaney Tarr, I think is her name. She wants to take everybody's guns away, although she said she doesn't, but I think we've proven beyond a doubt that that's their ultimate goal, is to take everyone's guns away. And now she's either put out herself or retweeted a tweet saying, we need to abolish the police. So I happened to tweet back to her. I says, if that's your thought process, then you might want to rethink your banning of guns stance. Because I'm quite sure that in the survival of the fittest, or the strongest, which is what you'd have without the police, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't be on the top of the list. And no, I'm not advocating violence, but I'm just saying, you don't have police, you're going to have mass violence and chaos. You see an example of that in Minnesota, when the police back off and don't do anything. They loot and burn down the city. Even the police station is burnt down. First time on American soil that a police station got burnt down. And it's because you got weak-ass, beta male liberals running the city and state. And I think it was Delaney again that said that, either retweeted or tweeted, or I think it was a retweet, basically saying that everybody should burn down police stations in all the parts of the country, because now we know what can be done. Again, I wrote back to her, I says, well, you can try it, but I guarantee you in most of the rest of the country, the cops aren't going to run away, and they're going to have reinforcements, and they are going to shoot to kill. They aren't going to let that happen in other parts of the country. That's just facts. Not everybody is a weak-ass beta male liberal for mayor and governor. And also, people got upset when President Trump tweeted out, saying that, calling the looters thugs, which they are, and saying that when the looting starts, the shooting starts. And they're saying that, Twitter deleted his post or hid it. You can still go and see it, but it's hidden with a message saying, this goes against our community standards, but the public interest will let it stay available, but we're hiding it. So you actually have to click on the link in order to see it. And what he was saying, and it's true because it happened in several cities, that when these people start looting, somebody starts shooting. The thugs. And they was kidnapped. Women were getting kidnapped last night. There's carjackings. And cops didn't do much. And so Trump was right. And Trump said he would send in the National Guard, but actually the state did that, finally. So hopefully they'll get a better handle on it. So, this has been a long video, and I still have a lot to say, but I'm not going to bore you all tonight. I'll probably say more stuff about it later, because I'm getting close to home now. So I'll end this and say thanks for watching. Good night. God bless you. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.